Okay. Hi guys. Hi Shri, Corinne, Hindley, if you're watching. Let's start at the very beginning. It's a very good place to start, isn't it? I found the book. That's Life. And I think this is probably pretty accurate. After a year of sacrifice, Diane finally achieved her dream, but now a black cloud seemed set to destroy her family's health and happiness. It did. You can see when we moved in, all the kids were playing in the pool in the backyard, having a wonderful time. Everyone has different priorities in life. Diane Solomons was buying her own home. So what if I was a single mum? She still wanted the best for her girls, and that meant security. So she moved in with her friend to save money and took on 3 jobs: a nurse, barmaid and childcare coordinator. Well, it's not quite accurate. But when her children, Corinne 9 and Cherie 8, asked for the latest fads and fashions, Diane shook her head and said, "No, not until we buy our home." She staved off their disappointments with promises of a bedroom each and their very own swimming pool. And after a year of hard work and hard savings, Diane had enough for a deposit to buy exactly that. Well, that's not quite true either, because my mum helped me with the deposit. She finally chose a place with everything they needed, including a pretty landscape garden, a patio, 10-metre pool, backyard that overlooked thick bushland. Diane checked the current zoning, yes, and any future plans. I did. She looked at the local map and checked the area behind the house. It was marked recreational. It seemed perfect, so she signed the contract. The moment they moved in, the girls were eager to try the pool and waited impatiently in their swimmers as Diane checked the chemical levels. "Okay," she grinned, "finally, in you get." Shrieking with joy, Corinne and Cherie jumped in, and Diane watched them through a haze of tears. "I did this," she thought proudly. "I gave my girls this security." The months of exhaustion and sacrifice had been worth it for this moment, and I did. All I've ever wanted in my life was a home for my kids to always be able to come back to, for the door to always be open. And now I don't even have that. Cherie and Corinne spent the rest of the weekend in their swimmers, so they pretty much did. As soon as they came home from school, they were in the beach. Cherie loved swimming, didn't you, darling? You loved to swim. And when I was looking for houses, that was a requirement for the house, was it needed a pool. Because of your actual love of swimming, you were very good at it. It wasn't long before you complained of an earache and a sore throat, and I assumed that you'd picked up something at school. But after a fortnight, the stench of rotting gas wafted from the bushland as they ate on the patio. It was so rich they retreated inside and their barbecue was ruined. Diane thought it was a one-off until it returned, just as strong 2 days later. "Where is it coming from?" she asked her neighbour Debbie. "There is a tip on the other side of the bushland," Debbie replied. "Didn't you know about it?" "No, I certainly did not. I thought that area was strictly recreational." Debbie explained that the tip site had been operated by a company called Atlas, and when the wind blew in their direction, they caught the smell. My heart sank. I'd already bought the house. This is the tip site here. You can see. And my house was 90 metres from the tip base site. This is a picture of the girls. You can see them there. That's a staged photo. We were told to stand there and look at the pool. There were other things bothering her too. Although she regularly treated the pool, a film of algae kept forming on the sides, and she had to keep the filter on 24 hours a day. It's true. Are you sure you're not weeing in the water? I asked the girls. Yuck, Mum, as if we would. And that's true because my sister Sharon had a pool, and she always told the girls if they ever weed in the pool that it would turn purple or green. I can't remember. They'll know. They'll remember what colour. But they never weed in the pools. They were always frightened that they'd turn Auntie Sharon's pool a different colour. Cherie said the girls' ear and throat, no, as if we would, Cherie said, the girls' ear and throat infections wouldn't clear up either, and they were getting chronic skin rashes and headaches. They weren't the only ones who weren't thriving. Diane noticed the grass and the ferns in the garden were withering away, and so was the bushland beyond it. In fact, one morning she looked out of the window and realised she could see the tip because so much of the foliage in front of it had died. She spoke to her neighbour, Debbie, again. Do your kids keep getting sick? Lately they've been breaking out in unexplained rashes a lot, she replied. That night, Diane sat in her lounge and she had a headache too, and she was tired. It was probably the stress, she told herself. Money was tight and it didn't help having to keep the pool filtering going constantly. Finally, she got jack of it and she turned it off. The next morning, she gasped in horror and the pool was pitch black. It's black dust, announced Corinne. It's been on our swimmers and towels, and we see it in our bedrooms too. Why haven't you told me? Diane cried. We thought you wouldn't let us swim anymore if we did, Corinne said. You're right, I wouldn't have. Diane looked angrily across the bushland. There was only one place the dust could be coming from. Diane strode over to the site and demanded to see whoever was in charge. Eventually, she talked to the group operations from Atlas, and he listened sympathetically as she explained about the pool, but he pointed out that the site had been a tip for 60 years and in his opinion, the housing development should never have been built so close to it 8 years earlier. Diane returned home and talked to Debbie. They might have been there first, she said, but surely they have to consider the residents too. It's definitely got worse, Debbie agreed. It'll be interesting to see what others in the street think. So the two women, that's Debbie and I, did an informal door knock and discovered that many people in the area of Mirrabooka, WA, had suffered allergies and irritations since moving in, and knew others who'd left because they were sick all the time. Nearly everyone signed their petition to have the site shut down. Back home, Diane told the girls they couldn't swim in the pool anymore. I'm sorry, but I can't keep it clean with all this dust flying around, she explained. God knows what's in it. And Cherie and Corinne burst into tears. Please, Mummy, she cried. It's so hot. Diane couldn't risk it, not until she got the company to clean up SACT. She made a complaint to the Department of Environmental Protection, who set up dust monitoring in her backyard. She also rang the Department of Health of Western Australia. They both promised to investigate, and then she and Debbie organised meetings and got in contact with the Mirrabooka Action Group. Months passed and there was no news. Meanwhile, the girls' health got worse, and they didn't want to swim these days anyway. They were so tired and listless. All they wanted to do was sleep on the sofa, and Diane was the same. She couldn't work and had lost her job. When she developed asthma on top of everything else, she went to the doctors. What else can I do? She despaired. This has never happened before. We moved here. I'd be getting out of the house, the doctor replied. But I bought that house to stay there forever. What's more important to you, the doctor asked, your health or your house? Exhausted, Diane hung her head. She listened helplessly as her doctor advised her to buy expensive organic food to avoid pesticides and think about moving to Denmark, WA, environmentally pure community, to give her daughters and her a chance to detox. Faced with moving in the middle of nowhere, Diane wept with all the despair of broken dreams. After 6 long months of investigation, Atlas pleaded guilty to the breach of licence and were fined $20,000 by the DEP. But we lost our life and our house and everything, and all they got was 20,000. And this is nothing. You have no idea what we found out about that company and what they were doing there. This is nothing. This is day one, 29th of June 2017. Faced with moving in the middle of nowhere, Diane wept with all despair of broken dreams. I've already said that. They had been accepting 10% more waste than allowed, which was causing excessive dust to blow from the site over to Diane's house in development. New dust prevention measures were put into place, and Atlas agreed not to use dust generation equipment when the wind was blowing towards their homes. That's a lie. However, the DEP told Diane that although the dust had been a problem, it was non-toxic, so it could not be automatically assumed that it was a cause of their health problems. That's another lie. But we're so sick, Diane protested. The girls only had to uncap a texter for their skins to break out in rashes because they'd become allergic to whatever was in a texter. However, the DEP was adamant, and when the family's health continued to worsen, Diane knew she had no alternative and packed her things up. And left. I thought we'd be here forever, she told Debbie. What a joke. Shut the door on my shattered dreams. Today, Diane and her daughters are living with friends until she works out what to do. Debbie has decided to stay for the moment, as her family's health problems aren't as severe. I can't sell the house or rent it out in good health because I don't know if the next family will be as sick as ours, so the bank will probably repossess it, Diane, 34, said bitterly. I wanted to provide my girls with security for their future, but I honestly believe that if we stayed at home, we would not have much future to worry about. And that's true. And talking about here where the DEP said that the dust was non-toxic, that was the biggest lie that they ever said, because I got proof later that it was very toxic. But the company said that you shouldn't even breathe it in. And it was blowing all over our house. That was printed in That's Life, November the 24th, 1999. Day one. Tomorrow I'll show you pictures of the house and where it was and what it looked like, the surroundings. Bye.